From dog tags to ownership, heroes take the lead. Stories of veterans building dreams with passion, drive, and speed. From service to success, we're here to inspire the quest. Dog tags to ownership, we're the best. Take the prize.
From the battlefield to the boardroom, this is DogTags to Ownership, the podcast where veterans share their journeys from serving our nation to leading in business. Hear inspiring stories of grit, growth, and the entrepreneurial spirit that drives those who've served to succeed. Tune in and take the first step toward your own mission in entrepreneurship.
Military One Percenters, welcome to DogTags to Ownership, where once a week we interview veterans who charted a path towards entrepreneurship. Here, our goals are to share resources, advice, and success stories about starting a business, discuss strategies for building financial independence and creating your own path, and most importantly, build a community to support each other through the challenges of transitioning from service life to civilian ownership. Today, we're extremely excited to introduce our guest to the show, a fellow Citadel graduate, Vivek Shah. Vivek is a combat veteran with 10 years of aviation experience flying the F-15 Echo. He owns and operates 3 franchises and is an advisor for Franzy, focused on matching aspiring business owners with their best franchise match. Vivek, welcome to the podcast, and thank you so much for joining us today to discuss your journey from dog tags to ownership.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate you taking the time to kind of dig into my background. And so, yeah, excited about it.
To get started, I know before we hit record, we were talking a little bit about where you went to college because you and I both are Citadel graduates. But can you just start off and tell us a little bit about yourself and your military service?
Yeah, 100%. So I'm going to go a little farther back. I was born in Kenya, Africa, and my dad picked Columbia, South Carolina to move to, and I don't know why. And it was the worst place he could pick, but he picked it. And from there, he owned some liquor stores and gas stations, and I used to work them. Saw how he ran business, but I think he thought that I was very, not disciplined at all. So I was like, Dad, since you're going to be helping me with college, send me where you want to go. And so he picked the Citadel. And so from there, it was like a shocking start from there, but fell in love with it. And, after the first year, you know how it is. I was like, this is not for me. But then the second, third, and fourth year, I was like, I could do this. This is a cool, organized lifestyle, and I feel good about it. So, unfortunately, I didn't go straight into the military service right after the Citadel. Citadel has a great business network, as you know, and so I kind of followed that path, just networking a lot, and I got a great job, Cintas Corporation, for an 18-month management trainee program. Did the 18 months, and on 18 months and day 1, I resigned because I knew I was sitting behind a desk and looking at an Excel. I was like, no way, I'm not ready for this. Like, I have way too much energy. And so I put in my papers and went to the Air Force recruiter. And from there, took the tests that we need to take and said, hey, you have a chance to become an aviator. Do you want it? I was like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. My mom was a little upset. My dad was like, do you, man? And so from there, I went to OCS, learned a lot about the military side of things. And then from there, it was just game on. So as I mentioned, I got my wings. So I got navigator wings. They weren't pilot wings. And so navigator was either you're going to go to like electronic warfare or navigation or something like that. And I wasn't too thrilled about that, but I did hear that you could be in the backseat of a Strike Eagle. And so I worked my butt off in flight school to become the top 5 graduate from there. And at that point, it's rack and stack them on your list of what you want. And I put the Strike Eagle as number 1, and I ended up getting the Strike Eagle. And from there, off we go to B course, which is a 9-month program, 9 to 12 months to train in the Strike Eagle. Mind you, during that time, like right when I left Cintas to go to the military side of things, I just met my girlfriend. I gave her, and now wife, I gave her the choice, like, hey, look, I'm making this decision. You could stick with me or not, but I got to do it. And thankfully, she did stick with me. And now I have 3 kids and a beautiful wife and a beautiful home in Charlotte.
What made you decide to transition out of the military? You did 10 years in the military. What was your reasoning, thought process of why you wanted to get out and then transition to what you're doing now?
Yeah. So that girlfriend that I met and wife now was a physician at MUSC in Charleston. And so we came in the fork in the road where it's either my career or her career. And obviously she was the breadwinner, but we also wanted kids. And I was TDY 6 months out of the year, red flags in Vegas, deployments, this and that. It was unsustainable for my wife to be raising the kids. And two, I wanted to be a father as well. And I had other aspirations too. I saw dad working at a McDonald's right when he got here to building 3 liquor stores and owning a gas station. And I was like, it's my blood. I still have those aspirations. While I was in the military, I started buying up rental properties without even looking at it. So on deployment, I read a book and I was like, I got to buy a house. So I used that deployment money to just put it down payment on a house. And, that was 2017. And I still have yet to see the houses, but they're passive income. And so, the transition was for me because nobody in my family ever in a fighter jet or in the military. I loved it. The adrenaline, the pump. I knew that if I carried on in the military, that I'm going to be this guy that just lives on his uh, rank and open himself up to the world, and just letting my family down. At that point, I had to make that decision. Reserves, which I'm so thankful for, but I get to do a little bit, but get to be a father at home. And as we move on in this conversation, I'll tell you guys about I actually get to be home and earn money while I'm doing it. So it's great.
So the transition to the reserves, was that because you were still compelled to serve, or are you able to fly still, or what does that look like?
Yeah. So I was able to fly until a couple of years ago. I got diagnosed with turf collapse. Went from 150 pounds to 120 in like 6 days, and they pulled my wings. And so now I get to teach weapons and tactics. So teaching the kids around how not to, to kill themselves and how to mitigate threats that are around them. So in a way, part of me, I still get to serve, still get to do the thing, and pass on my learnings from my career. But then there's so many benefits, right? There's so many benefits that you'll get.
What advice would you share or lessons learned from your transition process out of the military and into civilian life? Is there anything you'd tell our listeners?
Don't just go with what the military is telling you. Afterlife is. So, DAPS and all that kind of stuff. They'll ship these bits of go to the VA and get your disability and do this and do that. There's so many things they leave out that the most important thing is to go find people that have just retired and are doing what you want to do in a way. Get on a call with them. Sit down for an hour, because promise you all they would do is help. And that's what I do now. Like my guy that are, now that's what I'm doing. I sit down with them, talk to them, like, look, there's different things, the VRNE, the GI Bill transfer, all that kind of stuff. Nobody talks about that. I hate it. I hate that. I wish I had time to like write an article or book or something. And I'm sure a bunch of vets do, right? Do that. It's just so complicated and so much that you just got to get a little bit of, hey, I'm in the VA process now. Who do I talk to? Hey, in an MBA school process, like how do I use my GI Bill? How do I even get the yellow ribbon? All those things that nobody talks about. So networking is number one. Like it's who you know. That's, I think, in the military as well. It's who you know. Your commander, all your like aviation bros, they're gonna help you out, and it's mission time. And after, there's gonna be people there to help you. So networking is key. Talking to people.
I love that advice.
I totally agree, and that's part of the reason we have the podcast is to hopefully put some of that information all together for folks, because it is all over the place. But, as you were talking, I was drawn to, you're talking about your dad, coming over from Kenya and setting up liquor stores and gas stations. And then you in the military, when you were deployed, bought your first passive income house, rental property, and just that entrepreneurial spirit that I think is inside of you and what you have. And can you just talk about like as you got out and how you kind of tapped into that entrepreneurial spirit and where you are today and what you have?
Yeah, 100%. So I honestly did not know what I was doing or wanted to do. I knew that I had the entrepreneurial bug, but I was too scared to do anything, as everyone is. Like, what path do I take? I listen to a bunch of podcasts, sit reps, and all the jazz out there, and the thing that I needed was a stepping stone. All my bros and bros out there were like, "Go get an MBA. Go get an MBA." So on my transition, like I started actually before I transitioned, the WEMPA, the Weekend Executive Program at Duke University. They love veterans, and most MBAs love veterans, and so started applying out there. And Duke was my top pick because we were Carolina based, very easy to get to, and so I just applied. Uh, and they waived my, GMAT. I was a dummy, and you know, me with my essays, um, and from there, I knew that if I was able to get to the entrepreneurial side, this was it. I need to use this vehicle to get me where I needed to go. Still didn't know where I wanted to go. Owning a business, working for a startup, or working for a corporate bank, or something like that. I still didn't know at that time. But I knew that this was a step I needed to take to keep the ball moving forward, instead of me just sitting at home saying, "All right, what do I want to do? Apply for jobs." I just don't know yet. I don't know yet. And as soon as I got there, the number one thing that I said before was networking. So I started talking to other vets. I started talking to people in the corporate world, and it started like molding my brain into like, okay, there's like a couple different paths I can take. I can go be an investment banker or consultant. I can go work for startups and learn how to build a business, or I can just jump in right now and build my own. And I knew that I was a little scared and a little, you know, uh, not that knowledgeable in the buying my own business or starting my own business. So I went straight into working for startups. And you see, working for startups, they're building things from the ground up, and you're a sponge, right? You're working for them, but you're a sponge on what an investment is, what raising capital is, what needs to happen on the operational side versus the marketing side versus the sales side. And you see all that kind of coming together in a company. And so I worked for two startups, and actually the owner of Franzy, Alex Smearsnack, was the owner of 2U Laundry as well at the time I was transitioning out. And so he didn't make Franzy at that time, but I started working for him as a vendor relations manager. That was me just going out there, getting vendors and cutting deals with them. Had no experience in sales or anything like that. I was a chatty Cathy. And then after a year, I left TU Laundry to look into starting my own business. Now I knew that it's another bear to just start a business on my own. And so I started looking at franchising. And franchising is a built playbook already, a proven concept, but it's your business. They're just giving you the playbook. Go do this. It's proven. Just do it right. Do it their way. And so I kind of caught on to that. And so I called this is the worst way to do it, but I called a franchise broker, went through, 100 calls with them trying to figure out what business is out there. And it took way too long. It took about 8 to 10 months to figure out what business to buy. And at that point, I left my job at TU Laundry. So I was kind of a little scared. I was broke. So I started working for a defense contractor one week out of the month, out in Kinston, by 8 hours and whatever against the military to train them. So I would go out there 1 week out of the month, make a good amount change in that 1 week would keep me above water. During that time, I was doing my research for franchising. Well, I finally found what I wanted to do because at the time I moved to Charlotte. I used to take my kids to a haircut spot. He's cut for kids, and it's the only one in Charlotte. And Charlotte's big. There's 120 people moving here a day. Huge community of kids. And I took the kid there on a Saturday, packed, barely got an appointment, and he loved it. Absolutely loved it. Then I took him on a Thursday and a Tuesday, and it was still packed all the time, barely got an appointment, and paying $30 for a haircut. And I was like, wow, these guys are raking. There's only one of these in Charlotte. And so I just took that to my broker, and I was like, I like that business. What is that about? And started searching on it. And I partnered up with a couple MBA graduate with me, lived in Charlotte, and if you guys want to do this, instead of buying one, we bought three. They angled the carrot in front of me. The franchisor did. They were like, buy two, get one. Whatever savings I had, and they had to put it in, and we just started building. It's we're taking off now. So built my first one, my second one, and my third one's building now. And it is amazing. It's a marketing game. Love the business. And you're managing these stylists and managers, and it's an amazing concept to me because it's so simple as a haircut, but so complicated because there's so many things that go into it that I didn't know. And, obviously you learn from your failures and stuff like that. So slowly building on top of that. And so this is where I'm at now. I'm at own 3 Sharky's cuts for kids, but I want to put in a little plug for what I did in that time as well. So working for that defense contractor for a week, a month, building these franchises, I knew I needed to get a little bit more income because I still needed to work while these franchises were building. And so someone was looking for a co-founder at an app called Trauma Brace. And this caught my eye big time. It's an app for PTSD and trauma, basically taking the gold standard of therapy and putting it in an app. And what got me was this girl who was ex-Google, ex-Bain. She was part of a terrorist attack in Nairobi, and she built this with her bare hands, and her husband, software developer. Well, she needed help to get this thing off the ground. She's all software development, but she didn't have a mouthpiece to it. And someone who's been in the military, who's seen PTSD, who's, I've had guys that I've lost to it. So I was very passionate about it. And so she brought me on as a co-founder, and now I am still the co-founder of this app. And now we're getting it into the VA, even though there's so much red tape. We're getting it into the military. We're going to police departments and in fire departments, et cetera. And the problem we're trying to solve with that is there's so many people that are waiting 6 months to see a therapist or paying $5,000 out of their pocket when insurance doesn't cover it. I want to fight that till the end. So I'm trying to put this in an app. Here's $20 for the rest of your life. Have the app or subscription model. We got it beta tested at Duke University. And now Duke University as a whole uses it for their students, faculty, and staff, which is great, right? There's so much sexual assault that's going on in schools, which, I'm scared for with my own daughter. So I'm very passionate about it. And so we're running with that as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I just, want to applaud you for jumping on that business adventure with her and being a co-founder. Cause like you said, there's so many people out there that have mental health issues, and need that, need that outlet or somebody to talk to. And there are some different programs out there, but again, it goes back to what we talked about just with this podcast and all the things that are out there for people who are transitioning, and it's all over the place, right? Bringing that together to help those folks. That's just amazing work. And we'll definitely link it to our website as well, so that people can go and find it and put it in the show notes for this episode. And then I know also you said you went through a broker to help you find your franchise, but now you also are a franchise advisor for Franzy. Can you talk about that a little bit and how you got into doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as I mentioned, Alex Smearsniak was the founder of TU Laundry. Well, he still has that, but he transitioned to founding Franzy, and Franzy is basically the Zillow of franchising. So it took me 10 months to find a franchise, and it was the worst process. My broker basically said bye after I said, "Oh, can I just chat with this brand?" And then that broker got paid 60% of the commission, right? So 60% of the franchise fee I paid. Well, I was like, "Wait, I need help with the financing part. I need help with figuring out like how I'm going to set this thing up. Like, where are you?" And just they were gone. So Franzy, what we're doing at Franzy, and what I do as a franchise advisor is we use AI to help us align you with the franchise that's going to best fit your lifestyle, your interests, your passions. And we present these brands to you. But then once you start talking to the brands, we're right there beside you, holding your hand through the entire process. So I'm going to have a debrief call with you every time you have a call with a brand, about the introductory call, the economics call, the technical calls. and I kind of guide you and answer your concerns, listen to your concerns, and kind of help you navigate through that path until you're actually ready to sign into a franchise. And it's awesome because you can go from doing this for 8 to 10 months to finishing up in 2 months and being at a signing table, closing on a franchise. Also, you have someone looking after you, looking out for red flags, looking out for, looking around the corner where you can't see. Since I've been through that process, I know what to look for and what not to look for, what to watch out for. And I'm so grateful that I'm able to help other vets through this process and others who are wanting to get into franchise. So it's a great platform. Again, the Zillow of franchising is here. It's the only one out there and I hope that any one of your listeners, if you're interested, come chat with me and I will take you through it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the listeners, military listeners, can probably relate, but sometimes the most impactful learning experiences we have in the military are the ones that don't go so well, or the leaders that we don't want to be like. And for you, you went through the process searching for that franchise on your own, and now you're essentially able to guide someone throughout that. And I know that was something you recommended as far as a transition step out of the military. Hey, talk to someone who's done it, who's probably done it recently and can give advice. And you're essentially doing that for Franzy. So how long has Franzy been around? How long has it been in operation?
Franzy launched February 1st. Yep, it was earlier this year.
Okay.
And so we're brand new, but doing so well. There's so many happy clients that we have that are just up and running. And some of those are vets, actually. And I tell you why vets are more successful in the franchise world. They're more successful in the franchise world because I mentioned that there's a playbook. Well, we all built on checklists, right? Give me a checklist, we'll get it done. And that's how we kind of live our lives as vets and as military members. Well, it's the same thing as in the franchise world. Just give me the playbook and I'll go by this playbook. Check button. If I go off the rails, the franchisor is going to push me back into place, but you just follow the playbook and you will be fine. And in my case, I wanted to build passive income to where I have time with my kids now. And so the haircut places, I don't cut hair. I don't cut anyone's hair or anything like that. I have a manager and stylist who do that. And it's really, I'm spending 3 to 5 hours a week on these businesses while my manager is doing everything. Yeah, I'm doing the payroll and making sure that the manager is doing her job, but everything else is like cruise control and I love it. And so this is giving me freedom. I can breathe. And you might think like, dude, how did you do all this? Like, how did you get into the franchising and work for the defense contractor and do trauma brace and all that? It was a grind. There's no easy path. I'll tell you that right now. There is no easy path. At some point, like I was so stressed out, family is here to support me, but I had to make a decision. Like if I can stand these businesses up, then I'm free. Then I will be free. And I'm almost to that point where I'm sitting at home right now on my porch and I'm having a good time and I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's what I'm aiming for and shooting for. And now I'm working on a new project where I might transition out of Franzy. I don't know yet, but me and 2 other vets are now looking to buy other businesses where the owner sits in place for a number of years and runs it. But we're raising capital to buy these businesses because there's so many businesses for sale. As you know, people are getting older and looking to sell off. So now we're working on a new project. It's called Trajectory Holdings. So not a PE firm, not a private equity. What we do is we find the businesses and then we'll go out and raise capital from people we know.
And I find that fascinating. So, I think you might know Patrick Flood, the
Yeah.
founder, CEO of Owners and Honor. He came on the podcast, and we partner with them a lot. And the big thing that they talk about, and we brought in a few other people talk about entrepreneurship through acquisition, and doing that in the silver tsunami with the baby boomers going out. And actually, the episode that just dropped, we talked about that a little bit in our recap as well. Because we had Gregory Pavinsky on, who's getting his doctorate with a concentration in entrepreneurship through acquisition, and provided a lot of great data on entrepreneurship through acquisition, and then also the veteran aspect of it. So you mentioned it. I saw it on your LinkedIn that you have that Trajectory Holdings company. So I was going to ask you about it, but and you said like it's for you guys to help find businesses for veterans. Can you just like expand on what your mission is and your vision for that company and where you see it going?
Yeah. So we're buying businesses to obviously have freedom here hopefully soon. But we made this holding company and we put three verticals underneath them. So we put the real estate backed businesses, the technology, and then the professional services. Well, the real estate backed businesses could be convenience stores that one of my partners has a background in. He was a vet as well, Army JAG. And then my other partner was a Marine. He did consulting for 10 years. And so the professional services side. So we have LOIs out, letter of intents out that have been signed for these businesses. Either way, we have these three verticals, and eventually we want to use these three verticals to help each other. You have the professional services side, you have the real estate backed businesses making money, and now we have possibly the chance to buy Trauma Brace full out from my co-founder. And so and then to get it out there. So in a way, being selfish a little bit, we get to do what we want to do now. We get to do what our passion is. I could say like, I just want to stay home and not work. That's not in my cards right now. I still have energy, and I am so passionate about Trauma Brace that we're doing this, and all three of us are on board with this to eventually buy Trauma Brace and take it to where we want to take it. But also helping investors make money, et cetera, is the name of the game.
With your background in real estate, I know you do some real estate investing that started back in 2017. How important is it for you, the ownership side of the actual, franchises? Do you own the buildings? Do you lease them? And is that something that you have a preference on one way or another?
Yeah, so I own mostly residential properties, just running those out. The numbers have to make sense. So if I were to say I want to build the hair salons, just brick and mortar, build it myself, I don't think the numbers would work because I would owe so much on that. It would take me time to pay that building off. So I lease in awesome strips where there's Starbucks and Chick-fil-A's and Harris Teeters, the trifecta. So the numbers have to make sense to where you're going to be able to make the money. So I would say we're not. I will stick to residential. Factory will eventually start buying commercial strips, you know, for investors and for us. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there, um, for the commercial side of things, storage units, the things that are more passive.
And I know you've said some, I guess some buzzwords in my mind that relate to the fire movement. So I have to ask, are you focused on, or do you know much about like financial independence, retire early? Is that something that you're striving for? You've talked about passive income, I think, and, time freedom and being able to spend time with your kids and, be at your house doing this podcast today. So is there an intersection with that and what you're trying to do?
I guess people think about it differently. When you have passive income, when you have income to where you are literally not at a computer or always on calls or worrying about something, but you still have income coming in, I don't think that's retirement. I don't think that I'm just building a business to where I don't have to always look over my shoulder or always be on. I could take a week vacation and everything's still running the way it was. That is my definition of early retirement because I have kids. I want to make money until I can hand it off to that. Maybe I'm just not built for retirement, just not doing anything at all. But what I want to do, my retirement, is building everything to where it's as passive as possible, and that is 10 hours max a week.
I think your definition of it is more in line with the folks that are trying to do that, right? Like it is more about time freedom and doing things or pursuing other passions, other projects, and having the financial safety net to do those things, right? And it's not about drinking pina coladas on a beach, 12 hours a day.
I will say I do have goals though. I'm 37 right now. By the age of 45, I want to be at that 10 hours a week. Um, and right now I'm, 50 hours a week, and all these different things. But it's fun because I'm not grinding on one thing. I have this tunnel vision. I have a bigger picture of like, okay, I need to concentrate on this a little bit. So it is fun for me right now.
Yeah, I think that's, I don't know, when you're talking, you remind me that's like myself, right? Like, Matt's always making fun of me because I have, like, 50 million different things that I'm doing, and just trying to just keep myself occupied and have those different businesses and those different things, so I think for a lot of veterans, military members, and Matt, he's just officially retired now, but, doing the same thing, right? Like, finding those things that you're passionate about, being part of them and doing it, but not, like, necessarily retired, right? Like, you're still trying to get that income, build something, and do something that you're passionate about. Some people call it piddling around, but it's just those things that you like to do and find, passion in.
One word I just put into there is you see all these, when you go on the lake, you see mansion and you see people with private jets and all that stuff. Somewhat realistic, but probably not, right? But I think the reality is that you only have so much time on this earth, and what you can do for your family is it. And so building generational wealth is, I think, my uh, overarching goal, to build generational wealth so my kids can have that lake house or whatever they wanna have. So that's my goal.
Love it.
Yeah, and I think that resonates with Matt and I because we're the same way, with our kids and, wanting them to have that as well and building that portfolio for them. But Vivek, before we get, to our final 2 questions of the episode, is it was there anything that we did not ask you today, that you would like to share or discuss?
No, no, I think I've discussed everything. I really wanna push to the veterans out there. Sorry, there is something. I really wanna push out to the veterans that if you're looking to buy a business or open a business, really look into franchising. There are a lot of opportunities where our backgrounds in operations do wonders out there. We can crush it 3 or 4 times what people are doing right now. Veterans are just made this way. We're just molded that way. And there's so many different concepts out there. So just whatever city you're in, just look at it in an overarching picture and say, what would go good here? Maybe a turf company in Austin or a snow plowing company in Utah or something like that. You just think big picture, and there are things out there that you can do that will make you flourish.
Yeah, and I think to go on your point there, we just recently had a guest, for bonus content, and his stat on the franchise was 1 in 6 franchise owners are veterans. So back to what you're saying is, it isn't like it's a great playbook for us as you're transitioning out and you wanna get into entrepreneurship, great way to start because of the SOP type playbook for people to have, so appreciate you plugging that. Alright, Matt, turn it over to you.
Okay. My passion is also real estate on the side. It's become, I guess, my full-time passion now that I'm retired from the military. I focus on a lot of those podcasts, books, audiobooks that are in line with real estate investing. What would you recommend to our listeners if there's a book, audiobook, podcast that you'd recommend?
Yeah, I started with this book, and I'll probably reread it over and over to keep some fire under my butt. But I started with Bigger Pockets, and I'm sure you guys know what Bigger Pockets is. I started with Bigger Pockets, and I'll keep just going back to it. There's people think it's so complex and it's so hard to do, but if you get grounded with a book you like Bigger Pockets, it'll just give you that motivation to say, hey, just save some money up, then put a down payment down, and just do it over and over and over, and that's it. Right? And so that's where I'll stand. I love Bigger Pockets, and I'll keep reading that book.
I'm just glad you didn't say The Psychology of Money, just because I recommended that to Julie's wife, and I hear about it constantly now. Anyway, so
Yes, you
I
do.
recommend it if you
It
haven't
is.
read it. Yeah, you probably read it.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Alright, so our final question for every episode. Admiral William McRaven authored the book, Make Your Bed, Little Things That Can Change Your Life and Maybe the World. So Vivek, do you make your bed every morning?
This is funny. So to prove a point to my wife, you know how you sleep on each side? Well, I will make my side of the bed, and then when she comes home and she'll see hers, and I'm trying to push her to say, to tell her like, "Hey, make your bed, make your bed. It feels good. Feels good. Look, I am gonna roll it back now, and I'm gonna get in my cozy side, and yours is just meh." So I will make my side of the bed every single morning just to push her a little bit, but sometimes I'll be nice and put hers up too. But yeah,
So I guess a bonus question to that, was making your bed instilled into you from the Citadel, or did you do it before you went to the Citadel?
it was instilled to me with my dad. Even though my dad was not a military man, the guy is just super organized and very, nitpicky about things. And so he would make me make my bed every single morning. And so when I got to the Dell, I was like, wow, This is easy, except like those corners that you have to make. I'm like, all right, fine. Let me spend an extra 15 minutes on this. Um, it was instilled from childhood for sure.
Can I ask a bonus question? Do you get to talk shop with your dad now that you're both entrepreneurs? Do you get to talk shop, best practices?
We do get to talk shop, but sometimes it's like he's old school, right? Liquor stores and gas stations back in the day. There's so many different other things that are going around in this world right now using AI and different tools and resources that sometimes I just got to come back down to have a conversation with him, just to have a conversation with him
Yeah.
and just be a son instead of like saying, no, dad, that's not the way to do it. So sometimes it's hard to have a conversation, but I know that he has a little golf clap going on saying, good job, son. And I appreciate that from him because I learned it all from him. And it all goes back to the networking. Small 2-minute story here. In the liquor stores and gas stations, people would come in, they buy a bottle of vodka or something like that, right? Well, those people wouldn't leave. They would buy the bottle of vodka, they'd bag it up, and then they would just move off to the side and keep talking to my dad. They would keep talking. They would stay there for an hour. Like they're out running errands and they just stayed in the liquor store for an hour talking to my dad. Because my dad was so friendly and wanted to know everything about them. And so I think that's where I learned the networking part. Who cares about what's going on in your life? Just dig into someone else's life. See what's going on over there. And there's so many things you can learn. There's so many things that you can learn not to do, especially, right? And so you learn from those things. And so like tip to everyone, just have a conversation. That's it.
So good. Vivek, it was incredible having the opportunity to speak with you today. You are a man of many talents, and I think our listeners will really benefit from listening to some of the sage advice that you gave out today. And I think if they are interested in a franchise opportunity, they'll definitely check out Franzy and maybe reach out to you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Julie, Matt, thank you for me. I really appreciate you guys. So humble, and I love listening to you guys. Keep it going.
Military One Percenters, whether you're brainstorming your first business idea, already running a company, or just curious about where to start, DogTags to Ownership is the place for you. Please hit that subscribe button to receive all new episodes. Also, if you know someone who has turned their dog tags into ownership, drop us a DM on social media or tag someone. We are always looking for new guests to bring onto the podcast. And as always, Military One Percenters, thank you for your service. Let's continue this journey and working together to write our next chapter. Until next week, keep pushing to turn those dog tags into ownership.
From dog tags to ownership, heroes take the lead. Stories of veterans building dreams with passion, drive, and speed. From service to success,